Today I want to discuss two of the most commonly confused verbs in the English language, make and do. You see, these are commonly confused for students because in many languages around the world, make and do are replaced by one single verb. However, in English, make and do collocate with different English expressions. In general, make refers to something that we are creating, something that didn't exist before. On the other hand, do refers to tasks or things that did exist in the past. Do refers to repetitive tasks, things we feel obligated to complete. In general, do refers to an action, where make refers to the result of an action. Of course, there are exceptions to these rules, and I'll be covering them a bit later. But be sure to stay until the end of this video, as I have prepared a quiz for you so you can practice both make and do in different sentences. Now let's go through the different categories for which we'll use the verb make. The first category is food and drink. You can use make with nouns like coffee, tea, a meal, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Could you make me a coffee? For my anniversary, he's making a fancy meal. The next category for make is when we use it for different types of communication. For example, we make a sound, we make a noise, we make a phone call. We can also use it for making a complaint, a comment, a suggestion, or to make amends. Making amends means to forgive someone, to resolve a problem. The next category is when we use make to discuss business contexts or situations where we are talking about money. We can use make with nouns like to make a profit, make a loss, make an investment, make a deal, make a fortune, which means to make a lot of money. And that's another one, to make a lot of money. Here, when we're talking about money or business contexts, we often use the verb make. Now let's go through the different contexts that you will use with the verb do. Remember, do is often used for repetitive tasks, tasks that you feel obligated to complete. So the first context is household chores. We do the laundry, we do the dishes, we do the ironing, we do the mopping, the vacuuming. In these cases, these are tasks that we complete to keep our household clean and in order. The next context that we use the verb do is when we are talking about our skills. For example, you can do something well, you can do something poorly, you can do your best or do your worst. When we're describing our skills, we often use the verb do. Next, we use the verb do when we talk about academic courses or the academic context, when we're talking about school. You can, of course, do a course. You can do a test. In science class, you might do an experiment. And of course, you should always do your homework. Now let's go through some of the exceptions with make and do. As you remember, I said that we use do with household chores and repetitive tasks. However, we make the bed. This is an exception. This is a household chore, but we use the verb make. Next, we have do makeup or do your hair. Now, I did tell you that we use make when we're creating something new, something that didn't exist before. However, we do our makeup and we do our hair. Then finally, we always use the phrase do with business, the word business. Have you heard the expression? Pleasure doing business with you. Although we use make with the business context and the context of making money, with the word business itself, we'll use the verb do. Now I want you to try your hand at using make and do in the following quiz. How do you think you did on that quiz? If you want to see the results to your quiz, go to the description box and you'll find the link to my website where the answers to the quiz are posted. If you want to watch more videos on confusing words in English, click or tap the screen now, and I'll see you in the next video.